I think the exact term is reserved for emergency expenditures. So what we do in Riverdale at the end of the school year is I have my board pass a motion that says, if we have money left over, we want to be able to, we want to have permission to put at least $250,000 in the capital reserve, $250,000 into the emergency reserve, or a combination thereof. Because what happens practically is, you get to the end of the school year, you think you know what you have. The auditor comes in, makes all these adjustments, and they end up either having more than you thought, or less than you thought. And then you have the ability to, if you will, manipulate the end of the school year.
That has to be done by June 30.
Correct. You have to do that. You have to have that resolution approved prior to June 30th. Practically speaking, when the auditor does the adjustment, he's probably doing it in July.
Exactly.
But you have to approve it prior to the end of the school year. So, if you looked at the Riverdale agenda and the minutes which are on our website, it would say at the, I think our meeting was June 22nd, authorization to put $250,000 into capital reserve. Right now, the auditor is trying to figure out, do we really have that money or not? But that's happening as we go along now. So, just quickly understand, this is about a 40-slide presentation. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, nor am I going to read them all. But just understand, the cap is a revenue cap. It's a very significant change in the way that it used to be. It used to be, in the old days, and I say the old days, those are days that I actually was filling out forms, so it's not that long ago, but the old days it used to be on the expenditure side of the budget, now it's on the revenue side. And it's a hard cap. This is your cap levy considerations, okay? You still have, as I said before on the previous slides, those exemptions that are available to you. There is an exemption for loss of state aid. So what would happen, there is a fail-safe built into the law, but I'm going to explain it to you in the way it really worked. There's a fail-safe built into the law that says if you got $1 million of state aid in the prior year, and now you're going to get $750,000 in state aid, you can increase your cap by the $250,000 loss in state aid. Okay? So what happened when the current governor comes in the first year? They come in, they wipe out all the state aid for most districts in Bergen County. Riverdale lost $1 million in aid. So being the I have to tone it down because I'm being the wise guy. Being the wise guy that I am, I convinced my board that what we're going to do is we're just going to increase our tax levy by the $1 million loss. Perfectly legal. Perfectly balanced. Software accepted it. I submitted it to the county office. The county office says to me, we will not approve your budget. And I actually said, you mean to tell me that even though legally I can do this, you are requiring me to cut the budget and to therefore cut positions? And the answer was yes. The answer was yes. So we did. And that year we cut the $1 million out. We lost 13 positions in the school district, and we're just now clawing back on those issues. And if you look at, as an example, and you think, how could that be? You still survived, you still did everything, it's going to have an impact on, it didn't have any impact. Well, it does have some impact. It has an impact on class size, course offerings that we had. It impacted a variety of different things. However, again, we survived and we're clawing back. I'm very pleased to say that this year we're hiring 8 people back. Not the same people, but we're hiring back. Yeah.
Did the county office give you a reason why it was approved?
Yes. The reason was, the official reason was that that it was going to cause too much of a fluctuation in the local tax levy. The family reason was that they were told they couldn't approve budgets that way by the powers that be down the track. That's the real reason. was kind of a difficult situation for a lot of people. Just very quickly to show you what happens when you have districts, how the 2% cap affects you when you have money or don't have money. If you have an $11 million budget and you have no state aid, 2% increase to the $11 million is $220,000. It works out to be just about 2%. It's just about a 2% increase. If you get money from the state, for instance here, this is a district that gets 50% of the aid. There are many districts that get this much aid.
And more.
And more. Well, I got one more slide. So 2% on the tax levy is different. The result, it's roughly a 1/100% increase in the budget. And if you have a district that is getting 75% of their money from the aid, you can see what it is. Less than half of 100. You know, it's way down what it is. What the bottom line is. And the simple fact of the matter is that I think the unintended consequence of the 2% cap is that it actually is, if you will, benefiting districts that don't get aid from the state, or districts that get less aid from the state. Now, especially if you combine that with the fact that you don't have to have an election, you basically got carte blanche now that you can raise the budget 2% every year. Without an election, without thinking about whether or not I have to go through this torturous process of am I going to get cut from the local municipality. And in my case, a regional, multiple municipalities. The greatest benefit for me that I can see that I've been talking about with people in my district, Lorraine being my high school principal, is our ability to plan effectively has just increased enormously. Because now, if I'm not worried about losing an election, and I'm not worried about someone else cutting my budget, I can eliminate all those positions that we used to bury in the budget to save money, or to hide money. I can realistically budget for certain numbers that are coming down the pike, i.e. health benefits, or increases in some of the other things that we do. Because traditionally, when I was a business administrator, our job was, as soon as a new law came out, you had to try to figure out how to get around it. That was our job. And our job was to report to the superintendent that this is what he did. So our other job was to hide money. And the job that we did that we never told anybody is we used to hide money from the superintendent. Because we knew that superintendents like to spend money like drunken sailors. Especially, we have too many people come to the school at a board meeting to say that the class size in kindergarten is now 20 instead of 18. We need a new section. There are 24 kids in first grade, we need an 8. And, as I have transitioned from the business administrator to, as Adam referred to before, the dark side, I have said to myself, why would I walk into a hornet's nest if I don't have to? Why would I argue the point over what 18 versus 20? Because it's a specious argument, as you know, from an educational point of view, but it saps so much of your energy and your strength that I would just say, split the section.